excited. Okay,
too.
so I'm just gonna read off this list. How did you first get into music and what instruments do you play?
Okay, so originally I had played guitar on and off, like pretty much throughout my whole life, especially like around like 8 or 9 years old when I took lessons. And I kind of fell off of it around there and then didn't play for some years. Then fast forward to high school, I had this senior project where we had to, well, in my case, I had to learn a new skill. It was kind of like, I guess the final send off till I go to college. Like I had to do that assignment, and then that would be my graduation requirements fulfilled. So I thought, hey, I haven't played guitar in like 7 years. That could be something to classify as a new skill. So I started to get back into guitar around then, my senior year of high school, and I originally kind of just trudged through it. I was like, it was kind of more of a chore. I started taking lessons again, and eventually I got a lot better at it, and I kind of surpassed the project academic requirement of it. And I gave a great presentation about it and my skills, and I was like, you know what, maybe I'll keep doing this past the project. So I took it into high school and kept playing and found some musical friends, which pushed me to be better even more. And that's, I guess, that brings us up to now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that also kind of answers the how long have you been a musician. But like, when would you say it shifted of like from doing this for fun to wanting to put your music out on Spotify like you've done?
Okay, yeah. So probably, yeah. So during my first year at Clark, I think it was the summer. It was towards the end of my first year at Clark and into the summer of what would be my sophomore year. I was experimenting with the voice memos app on my phone, and I had begun to record myself playing riffs. So I had a very crude setup. So I had the voice memos app on my phone going, and then once I had the riff on my phone recorded, I would play the riff. I would play the recording of the riff, and then I would record the recording with my computer. So I have a computer recording myself in a recording, but that is also recording me playing another riff.
Okay.
So it was a very weird setup, but basically it was the start of me getting into mixing tracks. And I showed my dad, and he was like, you know what, that's kind of like using a digital audio workstation, something like GarageBand. And I was like, I bet GarageBand can do what I'm doing in a lot more concise manner. So I started using GarageBand, and I made my first two songs, which were When the Dust Settles and Cosmic Contemplation. And I put them out there, and I was like, I think I want to keep doing this because I found a real drive and passion for it.
Yeah. Is GarageBand the only platform you still use now to mix music, or do you use anything else?
I've used other things like Reaper, or right now I'm taking a class about foundations of music production. We're going to be using Logic Pro, I think, which is like kind of a more modern version of GarageBand. It's built on the same software. But mostly I use GarageBand, and I've been able to, I guess, really take it to new heights because it's a pretty robust software, and it's kind of fallen out of fashion because you have things like Ableton and FL Studio, but I've been able to make it work for my purposes just fine, and yeah, that's what I use, and I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the music classes you've been taking, so this leads into my next question of where do you find the balance between your music and your studies?
Okay, so the balance, I guess, is I can kind of take concepts that I'm learning in class and implement those into my music. So I guess, for example, last semester I was in a Foley and field recording class, and that wasn't specifically for music per se, but we were working with sound effects, and we were matching those sound effects to visuals playing out on screen. So the skill that I learned from there was um, how to get very precise timing and how to um, sequence noises in a way that made sense. In that setting, it was in a way that made sense for film, but it came in very handy when I would open up GarageBand and try to get a musical passage to work well with like the bass and the treble. Um, yeah, no, that's a lesson that I took from last year, and I've been able to really implement it and make it work for me. Um, in terms of like what I consider a project or versus an academic thing, I pretty much just work on my own songs separate from school. I actually worked on something last semester with a buddy of mine, and we did it under a new artist name called Project Blood Run, and that was separate from Loveslip, but I still use GarageBand for it. I still used pretty much all the same thinking that I used for my projects, but I used it for an academic setting.
Okay. What is Project Blood Run? Is that something that you can pull up on like Spotify?
Yeah. No, we have one song on there. It is what's it called? It's called Bring Her Faith. That's what it's called. Yeah. So it's an instrumental track that I wrote with guitar and a couple synths in GarageBand, and I had a friend who had a very kind of a punk metal background, which is very.
Which friend?
You know Gavin?
I do know.
Yeah, it was Gavin, and he helped me with editing that because he comes from a very different style of music. Because I like to make more ethereal type things, but yeah, we made that track together, and we actually put it out there, and yeah.
Which class was that for?
That was for a class called Beginning a Career in Music, I believe. Yeah, it was with Professor L'Esperance.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're
Are
good.
you guys both English majors? Not English. Oh my goodness. Music. Sorry, I'm an English major.
I'm a music technology major. I'm not actually sure what Gavin is.
Okay, so it's just you who's really like studying it.
Yeah, but Gavin is in a band, so he's very much involved in the music scene.
That's
yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, more to focus on your own music.
Okay.
Why do you call yourself Loveslip?
So I call myself Loveslip because I have a running list of song names in my notes app on my phone, and I remember being last year in the dining hall. I was showing a friend all these song titles, and one of them was Loveslip. So Loveslip was actually supposed to be the name of the song originally, but we kind of put two and two together, and was like, that kind of sounds like a band or artist name. And I was like, it kind of does. And at this time, I wasn't sure what to call myself. And this was like before I had put out my first two songs. So I was kind of just operating anonymously. I didn't really have a logo or a face or anything to put my brand on. But I kind of just knew then and there that has a nice ring to it, and I guess I'd like to be known like that.
It does have a nice ring.
Thank you.
Did you design your album cover?
Yeah, so for that I actually commissioned another friend, you know Benji?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, so I commissioned Benji to make that for me. I had this vision of like a bruised up hand holding a letter with blood coming out between the flaps in the envelope, and with a little heart and a sword going into it as like a little emblem. And that's kind of like, I guess, my logo. It was a vision. It was kind of just like this something I had imagined. I was like, I would love for that to be illustrated. So I kind of started looking around, and I was like, would you be open to doing this? And they were like, sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your creative process for writing songs? Like, what inspires you?
Okay, so for inspiration, I kind of imagine a scene visually that I would hear this music playing out in, and I kind of just I I usually hear the music before I even open up my laptop or before I even pick up my guitar. So I guess imaginatively, I always like to see it in my mind's eye first, and then I'm able to pick up my guitar and translate it into something I guess oral, something that you can hear. Um, and then from there, I put it into GarageBand and I start adding different tracks and effects on top of it. And I spend a lot of time actually just thinking, just sitting down and just pondering it in my head and just thinking, do I want that part to go like that? Do I want that to go like that? I guess it's a very introspective process at times.
Is there a reason you only do instrumental music?
I guess kind of. I've never really. I've thought about like singing, but I feel like that's just like not what I want to do. I've actually experimented with some lyrics for some rough drafts of songs, but I kind of just want the music to speak for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How would you describe your music to someone who's never heard it?
Okay, if I was talking to someone who had never heard it, I would say that it's very hard to classify into a genre because it's constantly like morphing into something else. But I would say it's new age instrumental ethereal music. Definitely on the unconventional side of things. Lately some of the songs I've been working on have sounded a bit medieval, and that's kind of just like where my mind takes me. So it's something that I guess evokes an emotional response to all of your senses. I mean, that's kind of like what I want the music to do. I want it to like take you to a place that you've never been before.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like the style like switches between each song.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite piece that you've written?
That's so hard. So right now I'm actually working on an album, and each time I load up a song to work on it, my favorite switches between the songs. I'm like, oh, this is my new favorite. Now that's my new favorite. But I guess out of the songs that I've released, it's so hard to pick. But I guess I really like When the Dust Settles. That was probably my biggest. I only have 3 songs out right now. One is an acoustic version of When the Dust Settles, but the original When the Dust Settles was my biggest project that has been released to date. I went in and I counted every track that I had in GarageBand, and it came out to like over 50 tracks.
Oh wow!
So it came to the point where GarageBand was having trouble processing all that, and I would keep getting error messages. So I had to really realize the limit in there, but I was able to include everything that I wanted, and I guess that's probably my favorite song as of right now, just because it has a very grand ethereal feel to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it fills the room. It feels powerful, and I really like it. Yeah.
It is a very good one. I was listening to them while I was waiting for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I already had listened to them before.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, thank you.
I really like them. Do you want to pursue music as your future career?
Yes, absolutely. If you asked me this, like when I first got to Clark, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I kept finding myself going back to this. It's something that I can consistently do and I consistently make time for and always have fun doing. And I realized, this is something that there is money to be made. There's a sustainable future doing this. So I kind of thought, yeah, I'm gonna really focus on this and try to get this going. That's why I took the beginning of music career class last semester, to really get to the practical sides of what being a musician is, just aside from being able to play an instrument.
So you weren't always majoring in music technology. Did you declare another major before? What were you originally planning to study?
I was thinking maybe something with something with like the IMD major, like the media arts type thing, maybe something with the game design fields. I didn't know really, nothing was really jumping out at me at that point, and I had stayed undeclared all the way up until the end of my sophomore year, I would say. I mean, I still had a couple months left in the semester, but I definitely took my time in picking what I wanted to do, and I hadn't declared anything before that, but since declaring music tech major, I've never looked back, I would say.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
If you could collaborate with any musician, who would you choose? That's a big question, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, I think I have a couple ideas in mind. I would love to collaborate with either Hozier or Ludwig van Gorsen, who is the person who orchestrated the Can You Hear the Music song in Oppenheimer.
Oh.
That has been a big inspiration for me. Oh God, I love that song so much. It really resonates with me. It's the exact type of music that I like to make. And also Hozier, because he's like this, he's kind of blown up recently, but he's an indie artist who, I just love his vibe, you know. I really like the tone of the music he makes. I love the instruments he uses, and also, side note, I've gotten quite a few people come up to me and say, you know, you kind of look like Hozier. This actually happened today in the dining hall. I'm not joking. This happened like an hour ago. And
I can kind of see it.
Yeah,
it's the hair.
Yeah, and I guess that they're my two biggest inspirations right now.
Okay, so the last question is, can Clark students expect new music soon? Also because I'm curious.
Okay, yeah. Well, the answer would be yes and no. I've been working on my first album for it's getting close to 1 year actually, probably around like 8 months now. I kind of like had the idea for my first album around the time that I started releasing my first 2 songs. It originally started out as a shower thought, believe it or not. I had like the idea for the album name and everything, and I've tried to pin a release date on this, but something I learned in my beginning of music career class is that you can't announce something unless you have the master copies of the songs yet. And I'm still working through making those master copies, and each time I think I'm getting closer, there'll be this epiphany where it's like, oh, now I have to add that in there. I have to add that drum line. I have to add that piece of brass, because it just sounds so much better now. It's like I can't imagine a song without that now. So it's constantly evolving, and I just really can't say when it's gonna be out, but I'm hoping as soon as possible. I previously like thought that it would be out before I returned back to Clark, but obviously that's not the case. I'm getting closer for sure, day by day.
How many songs are you working on for the album?
For the album, there's about 10 songs. So yeah, I gotta get those all fleshed out, but I'm hoping by the end of 2024, maybe it'll be out.
Right.
Maybe, we'll see.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course. This was fun. Thank you.